Now, turning to hospitality, a lot of hospitality businesses just don't have the horsepower to get through potentially a VA, a voluntary administration. They just don't have the resources available to them to deal with the costs of that process, so to speak. So that might, and it seems that there's been a bit of that going on, is that the relatively new small business restructuring provisions in the corporation that might be of benefit to those hospitality businesses that are in the state, particularly at the moment, very little.
Okay, wow. Stakeholder management is key in your line of work. How do you navigate the diverse interests of stakeholders during the insolvency and recovery process, ensuring positive outcomes for all parties involved?
Well, I guess the thing about it is communication is key, and communication is key at an early stage in the appointment. You've got in an insolvent scenario, you've got a range of stakeholders, and you've got employees, you've got financiers, you've got key suppliers, and subbies, and basically they have to be aware, or you have to set out a plan, obviously, and they have to be kept informed of what the plan is, because if there's an information vacuum, the initial stages of an insolvency can be a little bit chaotic, because different stakeholders they've got their own agendas, and they may very well have different rights, and they'll all be looking to assert those rights to position themselves as best as possible for what's essentially a situation where they're financially exposed. So you basically get all those and what appear to be sometimes disparate interests singing from the same song sheet. And as I said, communication of the plan at an early stage is key, because all those stakeholders have to have confidence in the process for it to have the best possibility of working.
Right. So under those circumstances, does the director get represented personally or through their lawyers to kind of represent their interests?
Well, a lot of directors will have, generally they will have a legal representation, and maybe they will have accounting representation too, particularly if there's a need to formulate a deed of company arrangement through or a restructuring deed. The role of the administrator is to assist those sorts of processes. The role is not necessarily to write sort of business. So like the director will be separately represented, because as I touched upon earlier, you're not representing the director. The role of the administrator is not to necessarily represent the director's interests. It's to communicate the director's, if the director wants a restructuring, go ahead, is to communicate the terms of what the director's proposing to the creditors and act in their interests.
Right. So yeah, like you just mentioned, communication skills are paramount in the field. How do you approach difficult conversations with stakeholders, maintaining transparency and trust throughout the whole process?
Well, particularly in the pre-appointment space, folks want to hear what they want to hear. And folks also want certainty, I suppose, which is hard to provide in distress situations, because those situations are fluid. and they're inherently uncertain at times. So there's not much point in over promising, as it's inevitably going to lead to disputes down the track. So in terms of you talk about difficult conversations, and that can be a difficult conversation closing a business down, for instance, if the process is not working, and like an administrator is personally liable for debts incurred during an administration process. Not so much in an SBR, but so those sorts of discussions of closing down elements of business, removing, terminating staff. Those are all sorts of they are all the difficult conversations which are part of our daily business. Sort of is. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis, I should say. You're better off having those discussions sooner rather than later, and basically that you have to take a pragmatic and objective and commercial approach to it.
Okay, wow.